Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Naomi from the blog The Virtuous Home, and today I'm sharing the first part of our budget kitchen makeover. This is my second interior project. We started with the laundry room, which is right off the kitchen, to figure out the paint scheme we liked and what would go well in our house. While finishing up in there, I had some extra primer, so I went ahead and primed some of the doors in the kitchen while they were still attached. This project is probably not done in the most efficient way, but I'm a busy mom of 3 and I don't always get to choose what time I'm going to work on things. For the most part in this project, I worked on any of the cabinet stuff down below, all while the kids were sleeping during nap time and after they went to bed at night, and I worked on the top cabinets here during the day. For the most part, I did try to paint while they were asleep so they wouldn't be exposed to the paint fumes. But there was also a lot of little things that I could do during the day, like taking off hardware, moving stuff like that needed to be done that I could do while the kids were around. We went with the same blue that we did in the laundry room, but as the paint dried, I realized that the same shade of blue was not going to work in our kitchen. The lighting is different in here, and honestly, the blue just reminded me of a baby blue and made me feel like I was in a nursery, and that's not the vibe I'm going for in my kitchen. The aesthetic I want is a French Country Cottage look. So back to Lowe's we went, and this time I got a much lighter blue. I tried a bit of it out on the already blue cabinet, with some over some primer and some just over the blue paint, to see how it would show up and whether or not I'd need to prime the cabinets again. Since I'm still going with a blue, it really didn't make that much of a difference. So I ended up not having to prime again, and I just painted the new shade of blue right over the other blue. Repainting the kitchen was a huge undertaking, and I probably should have given it a lot more thought than I did, but I'm also the kind of person who likes to just jump in and figure it out as I go. I'm okay with a little extra hard work. I'm okay with making mistakes. There is a thought that I've been replaying in my mind a lot lately, and that is that a mistake doesn't mean that I've failed. It means that I'm learning, so I don't need to feel bad when I make a mistake. I can learn from it, improve what I'm doing, and keep going. It's okay to make mistakes. Too often I get bogged down by things I shouldn't have done or should have done differently, and it really stands in the way of productivity. It's amazing how much our thoughts and mindsets impact our energy levels and our productivity. Recognizing this and learning to shift my thoughts to more positive, good mindsets has helped me find the motivation and energy to start and follow through projects like this kitchen makeover and starting my YouTube channel, for another example. It's all too easy to get bogged down by negative thoughts. But learning to capture thoughts and bring them into captivity is so freeing and motivating, and has been a key to my productivity lately, even as a busy mom of 3 crazy little ones. I loved how the blue turned out. It is a pale blue, so it might show up more of a white in the video. For the kitchen, we're going with a French Country Cottage aesthetic, but here's the deal. When you look up French Country or French Country Cottage, you'll get all kinds of things, and one of the most common aesthetics is one that is very similar to the farmhouse aesthetic, with a lot of neutrals and wood. The inspiration for my kitchen came from a farmhouse in Provence, France, called Mas Des Poirier, or the Pear Tree Farmhouse. I'll leave a link in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. It has been a struggle finding pictures of the aesthetic I want, because when I search French Country Cottage kitchen, it's very hard to find this look. Most of what's out there right now is more of a modern French country. the look of the 200-year-old farmhouse kitchen at Poirier. The cabinets were painted pale blue, and there's quite a bit of open shelving. The floor tiles are light brown, the countertops are an off-white color, the hardware is black, there's butcher block on the island, and quite the collection of copper pots. Of course, there's a lot more than just that. These are just the things that I'm drawing from this picture to use in my own kitchen. This is just phase 1 of our kitchen makeover. We decided to stick with the countertops we have for a little longer. Although there is very little about them that I love, they are still in decent condition, so we are going to make do for now. Someday we'll do another phase of our kitchen makeover and redo the countertops and perhaps even replace the silver sink with a ceramic or cast iron coated farmhouse sink. That'll come at a later date, as they can be quite the investment, and it'll be a little more tricky with our corner sink for us to do it ourselves. I'm so grateful for all the work the previous owners put into this house. It's quite apparent they were going for some sort of farmhouse aesthetic, because they put shiplap wall in the dining room and one of the bathrooms as well, and went ahead and lime washed the fireplace. Now they were probably going for the American farmhouse aesthetic, but that's okay. I think I can easily blend the two aesthetics and make it cohesive and appealing. I have fallen quite in love with the vintage French Country Cottage aesthetic. These two looks have a lot of similarities, but the farmhouse goes for a lot more white, and I honestly just wanted a little more color than that. French Country also is a little more ornate, and can be as ornate as you want. I love the charm of little details that you add here and there as another layer and depth to your decor. Aesthetics is definitely not my strong suit, but it is easy to learn. I was quite the mix of a tomboy and want to be lady growing up. I climbed the trees and played street ball quite frequently, and detested baking because it kept me in the house. But there was always a part of me that wanted to be prim and proper, to be graceful, and attire myself in a charming way. Learning how to design the interiors of my home and make something beautiful and aesthetically pleasing to look at has been a huge step for me, and I'm loving every bit of this journey. I find it so interesting that this is the shade of blue I went with, because after I picked the color, I realized that this was one of my wedding colors and that it's my husband's favorite color. But I honestly wasn't even thinking about that when I picked it. Now I love it all the more. Another mistake I made during this interior project is that I didn't realize I needed to seal a lot of areas until after I had done most of the painting. So I had to do quite a bit of caulking and touching up after I did the bulk of the painting. I've never actually used a caulking gun until this project, but once I got the hang of it, it was actually a lot of fun, squeezing some of the sealant in and then wiping it smooth with my finger. It was messy but fun, and a nice break from painting. Again, I was tempted to feel like a failure because I totally should have done all the caulking before I did all of this painting. But this wasn't a failure. This was an opportunity to learn, and I did. I learned a lot about the order of doing painting projects like this, and now I'll know better for next time. There was quite a bit of touching up to do on these cabinets, partially because I am an inexperienced painter and I missed quite a few spots, but also because these cabinets are quite worn and they needed a lot of love to hide all the imperfections and to do just a little bit more of a professional job with my painting. Still, with all the extra touch-up I had to do after I did the bulk of the painting and to hide all the imperfections, I know without a doubt that we saved quite a bit by choosing to use the cabinets we had instead of replacing them entirely with new ones. With all the scratches and imperfections these cabinets have, they are still in decent shape, and I know we'll get a lot more use out of them. I will say I gave myself the liberty to not paint every inch of the cabinets, because there's quite a bit that you don't ever see unless you're intentionally looking for it. And that did save me a little bit of time, not being a perfectionist about getting every single spot. With all that, I am glad I went ahead and did the caulking, even though I had to repaint and touch up quite a bit in order to hide the white sealant. Well friends, thanks for joining me here on my channel, The Virtuous Home, where I'm learning to cultivate the good, the beautiful, and the true at home, and for watching this first part of our budget kitchen makeover. I'm so excited to show you all the next part, where I'll finally get to put my pretty dishes back into my kitchen and add some charm to my new little French Country Cottage kitchen. I'll see you all in the next video.